All right, what's good, y'all, man? So, Deion Sanders has done it again, man. Feel like he's about to start possibly a new tradition. Basically, he wants to face another team for the spring game, right? Here's his reasoning. Okay, so he basically said, I would like to practice against somebody for a few days. Then you have the spring game. I think the public will be satisfied with that tremendously. Honestly, I kind of like it. When you look at the landscape and what coaches have been doing, it's been a kind of a mixed bag, right? We see coaches like Steve Sarkisian, who I think is a phenomenal coach, obviously, in college football for the Texas Longhorns. They're not having a spring game, right? Because they don't want guys to be nipped. They don't want guys, obviously, to end up leaving in the portal. Makes a lot of sense, right? Then you have coaches like Dabo Swinney says, look, it is what it is. Regardless, we're going to have a spring game. Doesn't matter to us. You know what I'm saying? We got to do what we got to do. You know what I'm saying? If they're going to go, they're going to go. We're going to do what it is. But I like Coach Prime giving this idea because we see this right in the NFL. Don't necessarily call it spring game. We call it preseason, right? Where they play two or three opponents, get the matchup, best on best, see kind of how they look. I kind of like this idea because we don't see it that often in college football, right? Usually it's a black and white game or it's a crimson on white game for Alabama or, purple on orange for Clemson, whatever it may be, or a white and gold game for Georgia Tech. We don't usually see, them playing against another team. I kind of like the idea because then you get to see your best on best against, potentially maybe even another opponent or potentially even, team you may see later down the line, right? All this is doing is sharpening your team, sharpening your toolkit, seeing where your team messes up instead of just the same. Because you know how it can get. You're going to get your teammates every day. There's going to be some different banter. There's going to be, different back and forths. You know what I'm saying? There's going to probably be a couple little fight skirmishes that kind of break out. But then when you go against another team, it's like, okay, we're all bounded in, right? We're all bought into one common goal, and then we get to see how we look up against another team, potentially we may see later in the year, or just a team in general. And I think some good teams that you could see them face, maybe a Texas Tech, Arizona State, if they stay in the Big 12, right? If they go outside of the Big 12, maybe they'll go Big 10, face a team like Wisconsin or, Illinois or something like that, or ACC. Maybe they face a team, potentially, I'm trying to think, maybe a team like a Boston College or North Carolina if they were interested, right? It just throws a lot of different things into the fray that could potentially happen. And I like Coach Prime. I mean, that's why he's so good for the sport. Now, he gets a lot of different flack and stuff for how he carries himself, whatever, and how his sons are. But you can't deny that this man is box office, right? This man really wants to help the sport, and it's only going to gravitate more eyes, towards it. Obviously, ESPN televises the games. You'll probably see Fox do it sometimes. But then to see another team go up against another team, sign me up. So, yeah, man, basically all I'm saying is sign me up for this. We'll see if it happens. But I like that Coach Prime is going out on a limb and trying to see where his team is at, man. Trying to see the true freshman, Julian Lewis, trying to see Caden Salter, trying to see some of those guys, Will Shepherd, who's coming back. And some of their pieces on the defensive side of the ball that they'll have to place that hit the portal or ran out of eligibility. I love it, man. And it could be the start of a new spring tradition. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we'll see more teams do this in the future if this is successful, for Coach Prime and obviously the Colorado Buffaloes and the team they end up potentially facing. We're going to find out. I think he will find a program that's interested in doing this idea and televising it, and it could be the start of what we see in the future because some teams want to eliminate the game, obviously. Some teams don't want to televise the game. And you have other teams like Coach Prime kind of wants to be the pioneer, kind of wants to be, the person that starts it potentially. So I like it, man. I think it's a great idea. I love to see the Buffaloes go against somebody else and see kind of how they stack up. I think it's good for ratings. A lot of people have football fixes and want to see some kind of football, some kind of spring football. All they really have is USF or not USF, excuse me, USFL or that kind of a league basically in the spring. What's wrong with seeing college football, the best of the best go at it, you know what I'm saying, early on and get a quick look kind of, what it could potentially be like. Because when you look at spring ball, y'all, you're not going to necessarily keep all of the opponents, right? All of your players, essentially, right? Like some of your players are going to leave. Some of your players are going to hit the portal, right? Some of your players are going to be injured. You know what I'm saying? So why not see where they're at? And then I think another good thing is, too, let's say there's a potential prospect, right? That's for Colorado. Let's say he's not seeing a lot of time, right? Let's say he's behind, a whole bunch of different people in the rotation, right? In a depth chart. Let's say he goes in the spring game against a Texas Tech or against a random opponent. And let's say he goes and balls out. Let's say he's a third string But then he's going out, he finishes with 2 touchdowns. He's a receiver, finishes with 2 touchdowns, and then, you know what I'm saying, has a big time spring. That does a lot for him moving forward. That does a lot for obviously Colorado, you know, because then Coach Prime, hey man, let's bring you on. Let's test you out more with the ones and the twos now, right? And it also builds up his profile where he can go to another school and potentially get playing time too if he's not getting it from Colorado. But yeah, y'all, that's just an example of what this game could potentially do and help people. Some coaches would be against it. I like it though at the end of the day, man. But comment below, what are your guys' thoughts on this potential idea? You know, what Coach Prime, and do you guys think he will be successful in potentially playing an opponent on ESPN too for Colorado spring game? Sign me up, whoever they playing. I want to see it. 2 teams going head to head in the spring. Hey, I definitely watch that in April. But y'all let me know down in the comments. Are you for this idea or you don't like this idea?